Pat March, offensive coordinator of the Orange. Syracuse getting set for a rematch on Sunday against the Harvard Crimson. And Pat, always great to chat with you. Before we get into what's ahead, let's take a look back at this past weekend. And first and foremost, congrats on getting it done down there in Charlotte.
Thank you. It was awesome. It was a great weekend for Syracuse lacrosse, and just so excited for the guys and the other coaches on staff and our support staff to bring home a trophy.
All right, so you went down there knowing that the stakes were pretty high, right? I mean, there was a chance you could still get in with a loss to Notre Dame, but I know you didn't want to leave anything to chance. And, you go down there, 3-game losing streak, on the bubble, playing the 2-time defending national champs. What allowed you guys to kind of flip that switch on Friday and play some of your best lacrosse of the season?
I think the first part was just understanding that we still did control our destiny. And if we played our game and played where we weren't dead, like I think a lot of people were saying. We were still very much alive. And if we played our game and we did what we could do, we'd be in a position where we'd want to be, which is in the NCAA tournament. And that's what we did.
So offensively speaking, very solid performance, of course, putting up 14 goals against Notre Dame. I guess speak to the offense that night, and John Mullen, great job at the X. You guys were finishing. What was working for you in particular offensively?
I think the ball movement was really good in both games, both the Notre Dame game and the Duke game. We're just able to spin the ball, share the ball. I think we're actually back to full strength. We're getting pretty healthy here, so that's a good thing. We have the guys out on the field that we need out on the field, and just moving the ball, sharing the ball. I thought on Friday night we shot the ball pretty well. I was pretty excited about the shooting that we had. Sunday we had to grind it out a little bit more. Our shooting wasn't as great, but we put together some pretty good opportunities. So I was really excited with our play this weekend.
The fact that you won 2 games down there and you did it in different ways. You win a high-scoring affair on Friday and then more of a defensive battle 9-8 game, lower-scoring game on Sunday against Duke. Does that give you guys even more confidence now going into the NCAA tournament that, hey, not only did we beat 2 good teams, but we did so in different ways to move on? And this time of year, you got to be able to win a variety of ways, correct?
Yeah, I think that's huge. And I've spoke to this before with you guys, is being able to win in different ways, whether it's a low possession game for us or a high possession game for us. Whether it's going to be, we're not shooting great, or we are shooting really good and it's going to be a high scoring game. I think having the confidence to be able to play the game in different ways and be successful no matter kind of how that game develops after that first quarter. Because obviously you have game plans and you think how the game's going to develop, but once you get into these games, it could go a different way. I think it's just having confidence and being able to win in different ways is huge.
All right, so now you head into the NCAA tournament, and we found out Sunday night the path and the opponent. It's a 6 seed. I guess let's start there, just in terms of 6 seed. If you win, you're going to Long Island. Do you guys feel comfortable with where the committee put you in terms of in the pecking order of what seed you got?
Yeah, I think I'll leave seeds and all that stuff up to the committee for sure. Being an ACC champion, I was glad that we have a home game. But at the end of the day, you got to beat the teams in front of you to get the ultimate prize, which is a national championship trophy. So it doesn't really matter who we play. We just got to take it one game at a time and move on from there.
All right, that's fair. And, you talk about you just play who you got to play, and they gave you Harvard, a team that you've already seen once this year. Crimson came back. It was a 5-0 early in the game. They came back and won the game 15-14 in the Dome way back in February. Is there... I assume you're going to say that you'll just play whoever's out there, but do you like the fact that you get a shot at, redeeming yourselves against a certain opponent, or would you have preferred to play somebody that you hadn't met so far this year, or doesn't it matter?
It doesn't really matter as much. I think one thing is that obviously it's a team that we're familiar with because we played them this year, albeit at the beginning of the season. So we're 2 kind of different teams now. But there's a lot of things you can look back on from that first game. But yeah, it's exciting. We get to play another team in the Dome for our guys.
I want to ask you about that. The fact that you said you've already seen them once. It was back in February, and you don't have to give me any secrets in terms of how the game plan changes at all. But I'm just curious, Pat, in terms of the scouting report. How much does whether it's Harvard or just in general, how much does a scouting report change on a team from February to May? Is it a lot? Is it a little? Is it not at all? How does a scouting report change over the course of 3 months?
It's a great question. It changes probably from team to team. Some teams are rinse and repeat. They do the same thing every year. Their systems don't change a ton. Some teams kind of change their systems throughout the year depending on who they're playing. They're big game plan oriented teams. So, and your own team, we're going to change and do some different things throughout the year and kind of develop and learn more about our team and what our strengths and weaknesses are. So it's different from team to team. It should be a good battle.
It has been a roller coaster of a season. I don't need to tell you that, but you start preseason number 2, you fall out of the top 10 on 2 separate occasions. You finish strong. You win an ACC championship. You get a home game. When you're on the bubble, and now as you guys now head into the NCAA tournament, are you guys better off for having gone through some of the trials and tribulations that you had to go through, instead of if everything was smooth and easy, and you weren't tested at this point, that might be one thing, but you guys certainly have been tested. Does that make it tougher to beat this time of year, the everything you've been through?
Yeah, I think so for sure. I mean, anytime you can put a team, feet to the fire, and we do that every year with our scheduling. I think we ended up with maybe the second best strength of schedule, second or third best strength of schedule in the country. So we've been battle tested. We've been put in positions where, the game's on the line and we've had to make plays, or the game was on the line and we did make plays and we had to go back and review that. We've lost games back-to-back weekends. We've won games on a decent win streak. So it's you learn a lot throughout the year, and you try and take those lessons and continue to learn and bring them with you every time you kind of go out on the field. And I think our experience too from our junior class and our senior class and guys who are fifth year have been around the program for a while and have seen us and have played a lot for us over the years. They bring a lot of in-game experience too, and that's a huge help.
Gary talked over the weekend and talked to me yesterday, actually, when I caught up with him about, challenging the guys last week for everybody to do a little bit more and to take care of the little things. And if you step up your individual game, collectively we'll see the results. Did you notice results last week, Coach, in that regard of guys, maybe picking up the focus? And are you seeing that spill over into this week that, the guys are locked in on what you're doing and ready to rock and roll here in the month of May?
Yeah, I think there's definitely some urgency to us for sure. I think going into the tournament, I think, the ACC tournament, I thought that there was definitely a significant amount of focus picked up. And then the gap between the two games, it's such a short turnaround that I thought the focus from the guys was excellent. And we were able to do some things a little bit differently in the game and even play a different style of game. So tip of the cap to our guys and their focus. It's been great. And then obviously now in the NCAA tournament, you just want to go through this with no regrets. So you got to put everything out there. You got to prepare the best you can. You got to play as hard as you can. You don't want to be at the end of the game and when it doesn't go your way saying, I wish I could have done this or I should have done that. You want to kind of leave it all out there and prepare and play as hard as you can.
All right, and I guess just lastly, what do you think this game ultimately comes down to Sunday, 5 o'clock inside the Dome against Harvard?
Yeah, I think the Harvard team has a lot of seniors on it. So, senior-laden teams in NCAA tournament, they've been around. They don't have much more time, so it's always tough. So I think you're going to get a team that plays really, really hard from their end, and you're going to get the same from us. So it should be a battle. I think our motto, and we're just trying to win each possession that we have, both offensively and defensively, and continue on. And if we can stack multiple positive possessions in a row, then we'll be where we want to be come 7:30 at the end of the game.
All right. 5 o'clock starts inside the Dome. One more home game for this team. Pat, thanks so much for the time. We always love having you on. Best of luck this weekend, and hopefully we're talking lacrosse for several more weeks here.
Awesome. Yeah, I hope so. Thanks for having me on, guys.
All right. Offensive coordinator Pat March joining us here on the show. With that, we'll hit a timeout. We've got Tim Leonard coming up at 1 o'clock. Christian de Guzman, 1:30.